Welcome back, guys. We're back on the NBA. And I am the moderator now, and Justin's going to be the NBA analyst. So, last week, we had a lot of trades. And now we have a different NBA than we originally started off with. So, what's your take on it, Justin? What did you see with these trades? Who do you think walked away the strongest? Who do you think walked away the weakest?
So essentially trade deadline ended last week, and what we got out of it was we didn't really have any blockbuster trades. We didn't have a lot of the trades that we were talking about earlier, as far as like DeAndre leaving LA to go to Cleveland. So a lot of the stuff that we were speculating in years before, those things would usually work, or those things usually happen. This year we really got a 360 on that kind of stuff. I'm not gonna go over all the trades. I'm gonna go over the ones that I think matter the most.
Okay.
The first thing is that Utah, I'm just going in any order, but Utah now has Derrick Rose, Joe Johnson, or they just got rid of Joe Johnson, but they have Derrick Rose and Jay Crowder.
Actually, update to that. They dropped Derrick Rose, and now the Bulls are picking up Derrick Rose.
I didn't know that. Good job, Jordan.
Hey, I told you I was stepping up my NBA,
baby. All right, well, that's what happened there. But either way, Utah had dropped Joe Johnson and another fella, and made a pretty much they were a stepping stone for Cleveland to make the moves they needed to do. Same thing for Sacramento. Sacramento got rid of a couple folks and ended up taking some of Cleveland's garbage. The biggest thing I want to say to the East, and I think not a lot of people are going to notice this, but Greg Monroe being traded over to the Celtics is a really big thing that fortifies them at the front court now. So now you have a little bit stronger front court. They really didn't get rid of anything. So if anything, I think it makes them a stronger team for sure. Of course, Miami, Dwayne Wade's back in Miami, which is whatever.
Can I make one point real quick? I'm sorry, not to cut you off. But can we all agree that Dwayne Wade just won the past 2 to 3 years, basically? He didn't get the contract he wanted with Miami.
I'll tell you who won. Miami won. Dwayne Wade thinks he won. Miami won.
Really? You think
we'll get into that.
Okay.
Though.
We'll talk about that.
But essentially, everything that happened trade-wise really doesn't matter, because the biggest thing is that Cleveland completely dumped their roster to a bunch of different teams in the league. Some teams are better suited. I think who won most out of that next to Cleveland would pretty much be LA. LA got Isaiah, and they have a crap ton of cap space for next year. You know they're bringing in a big fish. But the biggest thing was Cleveland doing whatever the hell Cleveland was doing. We'll talk about that though. But
yeah, actually, Isaiah Thomas' first game, I think, was 20. He scored 22 points,
22, 6, and I think something else. I don't know.
But it was pretty solid. Pretty solid.
It's not bad.
So you mentioned Cleveland a couple times, and if you have been keeping up with the NBA in the slightest, you noticed that Cleveland was, for the most part, the most prominent team. Making moves. What do you make of it? I don't know. Do you think they're stronger? Do you think they're weaker? Does it help them?
So here's the thing. With Cleveland, the first thing that everyone was saying as soon as the season started was that Cleveland was a lot because of the players they had, and that's because they had so much star power. You had Derrick Rose, you had Dwayne Wade, you got Isaiah Thomas, you brought in good role players, you still got a good core of the guys you have, and of course we saw what happened with that. It was kind of mediocre basketball, to say the most. I would say that, especially with the guys they have. So you have the things that's going on where essentially there's so much frustration in the locker room where the team essentially imploded, and that's where we had this huge change of the team at the trade deadline. So Cleveland got in Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder. Cleveland got rid of Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder. Cleveland brought in Derrick Rose. They got rid of Derrick Rose. They brought in Dwayne Wade. They got rid of Dwayne Wade. And on top of that, they were also chunking some of the guys already on the team. So Iman Shumpert and Channing Frye, I believe, are in Sacramento now. And those guys were pretty solid pieces for that team. And so pretty much you're left with George Hill, Larry Nance Jr., who else we got there? Jordan Clarkson is on the team as well. Those are three of the big names that pretty much joined the team, and there's a few other guys that they got, but they also got rid of their first round draft pick, not the one they have that's not the one that's protected, not the big dog one, but their own first round draft pick, which wasn't going to be too high.
Nah, that's not a big deal.
So my thing about this is everyone's gonna now say, okay, well now they're a better suited team because they're younger. No, they're not younger. I mean, they are younger, but you also have to understand the guys that they have, they do not have the experience to really just go out there and ball out and straight gel like that.
That's very true.
These aren't superstars you traded for. These are barely all stars you just traded for. These guys are really young, and yeah, it'll probably work in a little bit, but we don't know how long LeBron's staying there. As far as this move for Cleveland, I think that this was a move for Dan Gilbert more so than it was for LeBron. And I think this was a big foot for Dan Gilbert. I think it was a classy move because he didn't just completely sell that team out. He did get in good assets. He brought in good guys that can help support LeBron and help them, pretty much a lot of role players, and now they're going to run off of LeBron. But on top of that, though, the next thing is, this guy's old. Are we really about to sit there and run a whole team off LeBron James back again? Exactly, and I don't think that Tyronn Lue's a good enough coach to really get those guys in gear by the time the playoffs roll. If it happens, I'll eat my words. That's fine. But I'm going to go out on a limb right now and tell you guys that I really don't see. I already said Cleveland wasn't making it to the finals. I think they have a lesser chance to make it to the finals now. And I also think it's going to depend on how Kevin Love is when he comes back on that 8th week, because he's not coming back within 6.
I just want to let the audience know the depth of, Justin's foresight. He called this before the season even started, I think.
Oh, yeah.
He called that the Cavaliers wouldn't be making the final.
I said the Cavaliers were going to suck.
Yeah.
And they suck.
Yeah. So just that's what we're working with, guys. So just to let you know, this is expertise.
The 2 additional things I want to get to. One, the Dwayne Wade thing.
Oh, yeah. Coming back to Dwayne Wade, yeah.
We're in Chicago, guys. Dwayne Wade, when he left Miami for that $2 million, because Miami didn't want to give him additional $2 million, which I think he deserved. But he came to Chicago, and everyone was so excited about coming to Chicago. And I said,
He's come back home.
guys, Dwayne Wade coming to Chicago doesn't mean anything.
Nah,
him coming to Chicago isn't because, he loves Chicago so much, and he's always wanted to play in Chicago.
If anything, it made it worse.
And be a Bull.
Yeah.
He literally came to Chicago because Chicago was giving him one of the top offers in the league, and that we would actually take him. Yeah, he maybe came over because he's from Robbins, so that's cool and all. But at the end of the day, he came back just for the money. And when you saw that he came back for the money, you guys should have knew that he was leaving. He was going to leave. In the middle of the damn season, the dude quit, and the only reason why he was supposed to be out for the season with, I think, maybe 20 games left in the season. He was supposed to be out for the season. I think it was a wrist. I think he hurt his wrist or something like that.
My wrist.
And if you watch the league enough, you'll see that at the end of the season, superstars that are on bad teams, something will happen and they'll stop playing. And that's something that Dwayne Wade, we already know that he's fragile right now. So when he left out, and the only reason why he came back to play is because Jimmy Butler got them back in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And he said, you know what, I'll come back and play. Rondo was supposed to be out. Rondo was actually for the Bulls. The Bulls shouldn't have got rid of Rondo. Rondo and Jimmy were the 2 guys that were for the Bulls, and I recall, you guys don't keep up with the Bulls that much, but we had a lot of locker room talk where Rondo's calling out Jimmy Butler. He's calling out D-Wade for not being good leaders. And with that being said, when Dwayne Wade took that buyout, he was opting for that buyout off the bat, and then to go to Cleveland for $2 million, we should have never picked him up.
Yeah,
and even
that was a little petty.
As I said before, that this whole project wasn't going to work because they did not have any defense on Cleveland. So when Dwayne Wade goes back to Miami, that's not, Dwayne Wade's doing anybody a solid. That's just Dwayne Wade being a diva and doing what he's doing, hopping around and going back to his girl. What you think he did with Gabrielle Union? He did the same shit in the league. He hopped around, did his thing, came on back. You would expect that from someone with that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that Dwayne Wade's a bad guy, but at the end of the day, a lot of people aren't as loyal as you think they are. And even with Pat Riley, giving Dwayne Wade $20 million, I think is fair because we all saw how Dwayne Wade was that last season in Miami. He was fragile. He missed a lot of games, So yeah, you're going to take another pay cut, and it sucks, but you're getting paid a lot more than you deserve.
Yeah.
You don't deserve $20 million right now, Dwayne Wade.
That's just off the name.
And then to go with that and go into LeBron, it was bad leadership. once LeBron left Miami, there was bad leadership on that Miami team. That's why it didn't work so well. That bad leadership jumped ship from Miami to Chicago. Terrible leadership in Chicago. That's why Chicago underperformed so well, or so much. And then we jumped from Chicago to Cleveland. Bad leadership between LeBron and Dwayne Wade because they're so buddy-buddy that they're really throwing off the chemistry of the team. The reason why I say that LeBron is not the greatest is because LeBron is not a leader. LeBron is too much of a crybaby to be a leader. Part of being a leader is being able to rally your troops and make sure that we don't have locker room issues. And if we do have locker room issues, you're with the majority that's not causing it. And the person that's causing it, y'all need to get the hell up out of here. That's not LeBron's MO. A lot of guys, like when Kyrie left, I knew why Kyrie left. We know why Kyrie left. Kyrie told you why he left. And the rest of the guys that are just sitting there, they were just sitting there because, you know what? I got a chip. I can't do nothing with it. JR wasn't anything until he got to Cleveland. Iman, not a thing until he got to Cleveland. K-Love, you know, he had moderate success, but wasn't anything before he got to Cleveland. Channing Frye, same thing. No one else came in with, you know, the pedigree to really roll with LeBron like that. And it's just, it says a lot that someone like Kyrie Irving, who really seems to be about basketball, really couldn't rock with LeBron like that. And if you look into his past, you'll see that other players will call him out on these things. His last playoff series in Cleveland before he went to Miami, he quit on that team. His teammates will tell you that. Getting his ass kicked in the finals by San Antonio, he quit during that time frame. His teammates will tell you that. You know, you'll hear those things. When they got exposed against Dallas, he quit in Dallas. He underperformed. And I'm not saying that LeBron James isn't the greatest basketball player on earth. I'm not saying that he's not, you know, top 10. What I'm saying is LeBron James is such a mental puss that he can't be that guy to really just. He's not Mike because he doesn't have the mindset. He's not Kobe because he doesn't have the mindset. These guys have the mindsets. They're leaders. They may have their own ways of being leaders, but at the end of the day, they have the qualities and capabilities of a leader, where LeBron just has the physical capabilities, but not the mental capabilities. And so that's why I think that Cleveland blew up even this year, because you have guys like Derrick Rose who also have that kind of, you know, we had that issue when he came back in Chicago. We have the same problem where it's too many minds in there, too many alpha males. And a good leader can deal with another alpha male, and they can become stronger with that. LeBron James can't deal with that. That's why Miami had their issues when they first started, and Dwayne Wade had to back up and say this is LeBron's team, because that first season, the first half of the second season, they weren't, you know, there were issues there because they were trying to establish dominance. And instead of working with his team, he was being crybaby LeBron, and Dwayne Wade just said, screw it, you can have it. And that's why I worked a little bit better. So I think the guys that Cleveland got, they're not gonna challenge LeBron. Isaiah challenged LeBron. Derrick challenged LeBron. You know, there's guys that challenge LeBron, but the dudes is coming in, they're younger. They don't have anything, so they're just trying to get what they need to get, and they're gonna follow the footsteps of LeBron James. So I think
they idolize him already.
Yeah, like you have to idolize LeBron to be able to play with him. But I think this team will be a better defensive team.
They'll try on defense.
They'll definitely try on defense. To be honest with you, I think they have a better chance to get into the finals with this team than they did with the last team, just because they have guys that can play defense and they have guys that will be role players versus doing outside stuff. But I really would put my money on Boston, though.
Boston is looking really strong.
Yeah. So I'm sorry for being long-winded, but I'll give you guys the whole thing as far as why I'm telling you, like, Kobe's better than LeBron. I'll give you that. So
we'll have
if you
to
need
bring
to
in
hear
a
about that,
LeBron
let me
fan
know.
at some point, so you guys just don't get mad, especially if you're LeBron fan.
And I'll body them too.
I'll
body them too.
We'll find someone. We'll find someone.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the NBA talk. Justin gave his opinion. Now you know why he doesn't like LeBron James so much. We'll get back to you with the DLC.